Imagine a nation born from struggle, a rainbow stitched together after decades of division, standing on the brink of collapse, not from war or famine,
but something worse: corruption and bad decision. By 2018, South Africa, a country that had once dazzled the world with peaceful transition from apartheid to democracy, was trembling. The economy was a mess. Institutions were, well, let's just say they had more holes than the government issued road. But at the heart of this crisis is a story so wild that it could rival any political thriller. This is the saga of the Gupta brothers, Ajay, Atul, and Rajesh. These guys didn't just want a piece of the pie, they wanted the whole bakery, the oven, and even the baker's soul. And then there is Zuma, a man who went from freedom fighter to president to, well, let's just say his job description got a few unofficial updates. For nearly a decade, people kept asking, who was really running the country? Was it the elected leader or the shadowy tycoon pulling strings from a mansion in Saxon World? This is the tale of ambition, betrayal, and one very expensive wedding that somehow involved taxpayers' money. Well, buckle up, because the truth is more than what you think. All right, to understand this, let's rewind, literally back to where it all began.
It's the early 1990s, and three brothers from Saharanpur, a dusty town in northern India, are dreaming bigger than their modest roots. Ajay, Atul, and Rajesh Gupta are the sons of Shiv Kumar Gupta,
a businessman with an eye for opportunity. India is home, but Africa is the future, so their father believed.
He sees South Africa, freshly unshackled from apartheid, as a land ripe for the taking, a place where fortunes can be forged in the chaos of change. In 1993, he sends his sons to Johannesburg with little more than ambition and a plan. They arrive as outsiders in a nation still finding its feet, and they start small, setting up Sahara Computers, a humble operation selling PCs in a market hungry for technology.
But the Guptas aren't content with modest beginnings. They've got their sights set on something much grander. Over the next 2 decades, they build an empire that sprawls across industries like a spider's web.
They plunge into mining with Oak Bay resources, snapping up coal mines and uranium deposits that promise untold riches. They launched the New Age, a newspaper, and ANN7, a 24-hour news channel, giving them a megaphone to shape narratives. They dabble in real estate through island-side investments, amassing properties that signal their growing clout. By 2016, Atul Gupta is named one of South Africa's wealthiest men, with a fortune estimated at over R10 billion. That's a staggering climb from computer salesmen to billionaires in just over 20 years.
But money isn't their real power. Their true currency is influence, and they're about to cash it in with the most powerful man in the country. That man is Jacob Zuma. To understand this story, you need to know who he is, not just the president, but the enigma.
Zuma's life is a roller coaster of triumphs and controversies. He is a son of rural KwaZulu-Natal, a freedom fighter who joined the ANC's armed struggle against apartheid. He endured a decade on Robben Island alongside Nelson Mandela, emerging as a symbol of resilience. By 2009, when he becomes president, he's a political survivor, a man who's dodged scandals and outmaneuvered rivals to claim the top job. To his base, he's a hero of the poor, a leader who speaks their language literally. With his Zulu roots and folksy charm. But to his detractors, he's a liability, a man whose past is littered with allegations of corruption and whose rise is stained by questions. The Guptas see something else entirely, a partner. Their relationship with Zuma isn't new. It stretches back to the early 2000s, when he's still deputy president. But when he takes the presidency in 2009, the alliance shifts into overdrive. Zuma's son, Duduzane, becomes a linchpin, joining the Gupta payroll with directorships in at least a dozen of their companies, from mining to media. Zuma's wife, Bongi Ngema Zuma, lands a cushy gig at a Gupta farm. His daughter Duduzile briefly sits on the board of Sahara Computers. The press dubs it the Zupta Pact, a term that captures the blurring lines between family, business, and state.
It's more than a catchy name. It's a warning of what's to come.
What's to come is state capture, a phrase that sounds academic but feels like a gut punch. It's a systematic takeover of a nation's resources and institutions by a select few, often outsiders, who bend everything, laws, policies, appointments, to their will.
In South Africa, the Guptas are accused of masterminding this heist, with Zuma as their accomplice, then snowballs into something undeniable.
Take the cabinet, for instance. In 2010, Vichy Mento, a former ANC MP, drops a bombshell. She's offered the job of Minister of Public Enterprises by the Guptas themselves. Not Zuma, not the ANC, but the brothers. There's a catch. She has to ditch the South African Airways route to India and hand it to a Gupta-linked airline. She says no, and the job eventually goes to Malusi Gigaba, a Zuma loyalist. Mento insists it's no coincidence. Then there's Mcebisi Jonas, the Deputy Finance Minister. In 2015, he alleges the Guptas offer him R600 million, yes, million, to take the Finance Minister post and serve their interests. He rejects it, but soon after, Zuma fires the sitting Finance Minister, Nyanla Nene, who'd resisted Gupta pressure on state contracts. Zuma replaces him with Desvan Ruyen, a little-known MP with alleged Gupta ties. The rand plummets, markets panic, and South Africans watch their savings evaporate. Van Ruyen lasts 4 days before Zuma, under fire, swaps him out for Pravin Gordhan.
It's a fiasco, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. The real jackpot is Eskom, South Africa's state-owned power giant.
It's a behemoth controlling the nation's electricity and generating billions in revenue. The Guptas want in, and they get it. Through their mining company, Tegeta Exploration and Resources, they secure a R600 million prepayment from Eskom to supply coal. The deal stinks: overpriced coal, under-delivered promises, and a rushed approval process that reeks of favoritism. The 2016 State of Capture report by Public Protector Thuli Madonsela lays it bare. Suspicious payments flow between Gupta entities and Eskom officials. Phone records show Gupta associates cozying up to Zuma's inner circle, and the evidence points to a coordinated plunder.
But Eskom is not the only scandal. Remember the Gupta Gate?
In 2013, a private jet carrying guests for a Gupta family wedding lands at Waterkloof Air Force Base, a military site reserved for heads of state, not private parties. No clearance, no problem. The wedding unfolds at Sunday City, a glitzy resort, with South African taxpayers footing the bill for security. When the public demands answers, Zuma's allies brush it off, claiming it was a misunderstanding.
A misunderstanding. Hundreds of guests, a military base, a lavish celebration, and no one is held accountable. By now, the pattern is clear. The Guptas don't just influence the state, they treat it like their personal ground. If the state capture is the crime, Nkandla is the billboard advertising. Nkandla is Zuma's private homestead in KwaZulu-Natal,
a sprawling estate in the rolling hills where he was born. In 2009, it's slated for security upgrades to protect the president.
Well, fair enough, except those upgrades ballooned to 246 million, all funded by the taxpayers. We are not talking about basic fencing here. It's bulletproof windows, a helipad, underground bunkers, and most infamously, a swimming pool.
When the public balks, Zuma's team calls it a fire pool, claiming it's for firefighting.
A fire pool in a country where millions lack running water. The kids drown in pit latrines because schools can't afford proper facilities. The president's built a fire pool with public funds. The outrage is definite.
Thuli Madonsela, the public protector, investigates. Her 2014 report, Secure and Comfort, is a gut-wrenching expose. Zuma unduly benefited from the upgrades, flouting every rule of accountability. She orders him to repay a portion, R7.8 million to be exact. Zuma laughs it off, saying he didn't ask for it, didn't know. The Constitutional Court steps in, ruling in 2016 that he violated his oath to uphold the Constitution.
He is forced to pay, but the damage is done. Nkandla isn't just a scandal, it's a symbol of a president's drunk on power, a middle finger to the nation struggling to breathe. Zuma's legal wars don't stop at Nkandla. Corruption has trailed him like a shadow since 1990s. The big one is in the 1999 arms deal.
A multi-billion rand military procurement program. Zuma, then deputy president, is accused of pocketing bribes from his financial advisor, Shabi Shaikh, and French arms firm Thales. Shaikh goes down in 2005, convicted of fraud and corruption.
But Zuma slips away. Charges dropped, then reinstated, then dropped again as he ascends to presidency. It's a game of cat and mouse that lasts decades.
Then, in 2018, after he's out of office, the charges roll back to life. He's hauled before courts, facing 16 counts of fraud, corruption, and money laundering. But that's not all. Enter the Zondo Commission, a judicial inquiry
Launched in 2018 to dissect state capture. It's a reckoning, 3 years of testimony, thousands of pages of evidence, and a spotlight on the Zuma-Gupta nexus. Witnesses feel everything: cabinet offers, Eskimo deals, Gupta meetings, etc.
Zuma's called to testify. He dodges, deflects, claims memory lapses. In 2021, he refuses to return, defying a court order. The Constitutional Court sentences him to 15 months for contempt, the first ex-president jailed in democratic South Africa. His arrest ignites riots in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. Over 300 die in the chaos.
It's a brutal reminder of the lingering influence. The Zondo report, finalized in 2022, names Zuma, the Guptas, ministers, CEOs, and paints a picture of a government hijacked. Justice is slow, but the net is tightening. By 2018, Zuma's empire is crumbling. The ANC, the party that carried South Africa to freedom, is bleeding from the wounds of his scandal. Its leaders, once unwavering, see the writing on the wall. Zuma is a liability they can't afford.
In December 2017, Cyril Ramaphosa, a union leader turned businessman turned reformer, wins the ANC presidency, edging out Zuma's faction.
It's a seismic shift. The party recalls Zuma, demanding he steps down, and he resists clinging to power with desperation that borders on tragic.
On the 14th of February 2018, he finally resigns.
His voice defined, but his era over. The Guptas are long gone, as the state capture report loomed in 2016.
They fled to Dubai, abandoning their crumbling empire. Oakway collapses, assets are frozen, and arrest warrants pile up. South Africa demands their extradition, but Dubai is a fortress, and the brothers remain free, for now. What's left is a South Africa scarred but standing. State capture wasn't just a Gupta-Zuma project, it was a systemic rot that drained up to R1.5 trillion from the economy. By some estimates, Eskom, once a pillar of progress, is a husk, saddling the country with debt and blackouts. The ANC's moral authority is battered, its vote share dipping to 57% in 2019, the lowest since 1994. Public trust shattered. Millions feel betrayed by the Party of Liberation. Yet there's hope in the wreckage. The courts held firm, striking down Zuma's excesses. Journalists and whistleblowers risked everything to expose the truth. Civil society marched, voted, demanded better. The Zondo Commission's final words linger. This was a betrayal of hope, but it's not the end. South Africans, one brick at a time, are rebuilding, chasing justice, clawing back stolen funds, and vowing never again. So, who really was running South Africa? For a decade, it wasn't just Zuma. It was the Guptas with their money and their audacity, steering a nation from the shadows. But this isn't just their story. It's a warning to every democracy that power unchecked is power corrupted. South Africa bent, but it didn't break. Its people, its institutions, its spirit, they fought back. The question is now, what comes next? The answer isn't in Saxonwold or in Nkandla. It's in every hands of the South African who refuse to let history repeat itself. The fight for the truth, for accountability, for a future worth believing in. It's not over yet. It's just begun. And hey, if you did enjoy this video, do hit that like button and subscribe. Those things are free, but they really do help us. And see you in the next one.
That's one more shot fired.